We are getting all nostalgic for the 80s today. Our next guests met as teenagers, and both Marilyn and Boy George went on to become icons of the new romantics pop scene. Marilyn, however, struggled with a serious drug addiction, leading to a nervous breakdown, and he says thoughts of suicide. Now, though 2 years free from drugs, his enduring 40-year friendship with Boy George has helped him make a comeback with a new single out right now. So would you please give a very warm, loose women welcome to Marilyn and Boy George.
I always think about, where's it leading?
What are you moaning about? He just was told not to kiss you.
I'm like you, I'm so not. You know what I mean? I think it's a punk thing.
Yeah, well, we've had our ups and downs over the years, haven't we?
Oh, please. I love that new word, frenemies.
Frenemies.
Exactly.
I've never heard it before.
We do a lot of those on this show.
Oh, you do? I love it. I've never heard that word.
Yes, we do. Yeah. We like to make things up like that.
Should I just say, actually, I wouldn't work with someone I didn't love. Do you know what I mean? Same with Culture Club. You know, I wouldn't be on the road with a band I didn't love. So I mean, I wouldn't do it because, you know, I do this because I don't want to work. I want a regular job. So I mean, you have to be with people when you do music. It has to be with people that you're friends with and you love. You know?
And when did you become friends? You were quite young, weren't you? Like teenagers.
I was like 14, 15 years old, isn't it?
Yeah, and do you remember that first meeting? Like, where were you? Was it school or a club?
Burned into my brain.
What were you wearing?
Some form of female attire.
When I first met you, you had a frock on and you came in this studio here.
I did not have a frock on.
You did have
I didn't, it was a gorgeous blouse.
All right, you were wearing a blouse.
Sure.
I remember the floor manager said to me, "Who's that?" It was like, it's so outrageous.
You were my first TV interview, my first one, and you were vile. No, you were. You were. I'm sorry, you were.
What did she say? I'm frightened of you. You are such a...
Maybe that was... no, I was frightened. I was frightened. Really scared.
This is like counselling on...
I think having a reputation... I was just thinking before, obviously, talking about our sort of feuds and stuff, but I think having a bit of a reputation, like Janet, yours truly, Colleen for sure. When people sort of have an idea of you and then they meet you and you're not that thing. Yeah. That's the great thing. So having a little bit of a reputation is good, I think.
Don't you often think it's people's people? So you get people that say, "Don't ask him this," or "Don't say that," or "She's this." They can make you nervous. Then you meet the person and actually they're really nice. So the two of you were just frightened of each other for no reason.
I think the truth is, now I know what she just said, that she was nervous. It makes sense to me because it was, you were asking me questions and then I'd go to answer and then you'd ask another question and another question. Why am I here? It's not like you. It's not like you.
That's what an interview's called.
No, Janet, that's called a monologue. That's called a monologue.
All right, what about your record?
OK. What do you want to know about it? It's out now, buy it. It's so many things. There's so many different layers. Like when you have a friendship that goes for 40 years, there's so many layers to it. And you add in work, which is a specific environment where you have to conduct yourself in a certain way, and we sometimes fail miserably at that. But in general, because it's all based on love and respect, it works, and if their problems arise, we're both in a place where we've got the experience to be able to work through them. You know?
But what about when you wanted your voice heard?
What, on the record?
You did. Didn't you have him turned down?
Yeah, of course.
I'm in there, though. I understand that, because obviously,
he's got a distinctive voice, you know what I mean? It's like, and it's my record. You know, George is like a huge personality, and he's really good at talking. He's had a lot of practice doing it in this kind of forum.
That's about yourself.
I'm getting better.
Should we have a listen? This is the new single. This is Marilyn's, not George's new single. Marilyn's called Love or Money.
Love or money, 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 love or money, love or money.
So that is out right now.
Well, I did help write it, by the way.
Yes, he did help write it.
Yeah.
It's a small thing.
Yes.
Did you look forward to working with each other again, or did you worry with your friendship that, you know, the old kind of flare-ups might happen, or do you think you're in a more mature place now?
You know what? Having rows in the studio, it's so 80s. It's so the past.
So yesterday.
Do you know what I mean? It's, you know, now, weirdly, I feel like we're probably more ambitious now than we were when we were younger, because we didn't really understand what the game was then. You know, when you're young, you just sort of, you're on overdrive, and you don't think you're going to be around in 30 years to have a career. Now you've got to be much more, you know, you've got to think about what you're doing. You can't just, you know, wing it.
And what about for you, Marilyn? You know, you've been away for a long time. You've talked about the problem you had with drugs and things. Are you excited to be back? Are you nervous about what it will be? Are you more able to cope with the fame now, do you think?
Yes, absolutely. It's a shock from going into doing TV shows, being in front of an audience and talking publicly about yourself and singing and all the rest of it, performing. But I was in like solitary isolation for like 20 years. I did not leave my room unless it was through.
Is that because you were ashamed of what happened to you, and also when you were famous, you projected this confident image? You had an answer for everything. And then because you went to rock bottom, you didn't want people to see you. I just didn't want to be conscious, you know. I just didn't want to know. I didn't want to deal with, even like whether it was day or night outside. I closed the curtains and I just switched off, and I didn't. And it was in my mother's house, you know what I mean, like in her front room. So, and she would walk past in the mornings and look at me, and it was just like I didn't want to know. She'd go, "You got these letters," and I go, "You open them." But what was the trigger?
The trigger.
Going to rehab and cleaning yourself up.
To get well, because it felt like I'd gone to. It's like a train on the tracks. It's like it only goes so far, and the next part is death. You know what I mean? And I kept toying with going over that line. It's like, but I didn't want to be responsible for it, which is, you know, a huge thing to do with addiction. I wanted it to be like an accident that I'd caused. It was like really like mental. And
glad you didn't do that though.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I get to wear sequins again.
Lunchtime.
We've got to take a break now, but Marilyn and Boy George are staying with us. We're talking to them a bit later, but thank you for now. Don't go anywhere. Goldie Hawn is going to be adding a sprinkle of... Yes, good luck. Now the sofa is filling up by the second. Please welcome back Boy George and Marilyn. And alongside them, Goldie Hawn, of course. I've no idea who these three are. They just... anyway.
It's a sofa, isn't it?
You feel like you're on the bus. I'm looking at the shoes and I'm expecting a number. The 11 o'clock number is going to start right now.
See, girls always check out other girls' shoes. Do you check out shoes?
I always check out everyone's outfits, you know, hair, everything.
You're quite
always.
brutal with that, aren't you?
Do you know what? No. We all do that. You know, like you watch stuff on telly and you watch the red carpet. You can't help it. I mean, try not to say it publicly, but you do it sort of in your house, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't have put that with that.
Yeah. You're Goldie's date tonight. Would you tell Goldie anything about her outfit?
No, I think Goldie's kind of perfect.
No.
Goldie's like, you know, like sometimes you meet people and they're nothing like you thought you'd been. You're really disappointed. Well, Goldie is exactly how you want her to be. You just go.
How did you meet?
Through Mind Up, through helping with the charity and, you know, a party. And it's one of those weird things, because I feel like I've always known her. Do you know what I mean?
It is, sometimes you meet a DNA soulmate. You just do. And then you feel that way. And we went, oh my God. And then I thought, I really want to see. And then I came to your show, which was amazing. This was at the Hollywood Bowl. And I looked behind. I mean, every seat was filled. It was all the way up to the top.
And she stayed to the end, which really blew my mind. I came off stage and she was there, and I was like, didn't I? I said, you stayed to the end. Maybe she will never stay to the end.
Seriously, I was waiting in the wings and looking, but I was so excited. You sounded amazing. The show was unbelievable. And then it had how many pieces behind you?
We had 100-piece orchestra.
Orchestra behind them, and everybody was lighting up. And I looked around, and I actually got teary, and I thought, you know what? It's a beautiful night. The sound was beautiful. It felt so good. And I like to feel good, because sometimes you don't feel so good today. And it was a feel-good night, honey. So anyway, that was great. And then I asked him to be my date. And then I thought, well, should Marilyn come too?
Yeah. So you're relatively...
But it was for tonight.
I think this is in the rosy stage of your relationship.
Yeah, this
has a bit of a track record.
Really? Yeah.
No, anyway. I bear no resemblance to the person I was 30 years ago. I mean, I think I'm still the same person in essence. You know, my personality is the same, but so different.
But you and Marilyn, I bet you've criticised what he's worn.
We do.
Every minute. Even just walking out of the thing, it's like your hair's out. You know, put your hair. No, it's control. It's
I'm like a mum. I'm like a mum.
Yeah.
Did you not
But
throw some
loving.
shoes at him recently? Or did you throw shoes? Who threw shoes at who?
Did I throw shoes at you?
How did you know about that?
I don't know about it.
I told someone.
A shoe fight just weeks ago.
No, it's just a few days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, because I didn't know
what he was wearing.
I didn't want to wear something he was like suggesting. I was like, you know, thank you, but like.
I wanted you to wear something that was ironed.
But because you're
as opposed to something that just came out of the cupboard.
Because you're such old friends, can you say things like that to each other? Because there was somebody once that said that your friendship was based on you didn't like Marilyn because he's prettier, and you didn't like George because he was more famous. And that, at the time, was this kind of image that people had.
I think when you're
friendship.
17, everyone's competition, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think when you're 17, you sort of think that jealousy is like a good thing to be. And as you get older, you realise it's the most ugly, ugly characteristic.
Yeah, it's very energising.
But also, in a relationship, it's like, what made me think being psycho and jealous is going to make this person think I'm a catch, you know? And so as you get older, you realise, you know, you have to... I think in friendships, you have to let people be who they are. You still have rows about things. Yeah. You know, come on, you're a forthright woman.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure...
You and I have had a few rows.
But I'm sure you would, if you were with a friend and they turned up in something, you'd be going... You know, you'd say... And he would do it to me. He makes faces. He'll look at me and go...
That's what I do.
He'll do a face. And I go, what's the face for? And he'll go...
That's true friendship, isn't it? And true friendship is you can have a row and it's not the end of the world. You still know you love each other. You just don't agree on a certain...
Yeah, you know what the bottom line is, you know. But I think, for me, like my whole thing is like it needs to be honest. You know what I mean? Without being hurtful. You know, you can say things without. There's a way of saying everything. You know what I mean? And if your intent is coming from the right place, the words will match that. You know what I mean? So if you need to say, I'm not sure about, you know, there's a way of doing it.
Unless you're in a hurry.
George, you have definitely got more tactful over the years.
Oh, 100%.
Like a different person.
Even with myself, you know.
But Marilyn, can I ask you, we talked earlier about the very difficult, hard times that you went through. How important has this man been in your life, that friendship has been there to get you through the tough times? Well,
George is an amazing person, you know, and I feel really lucky to have him as a friend. You know, the length of the amount of time that we've been friends, what we've been through, and to know, like with him, it's like if he says something, he follows through the actions. You know what I mean? And which in me builds, like, I can trust him. I can trust his word, and that's so important for me because so many people just say any old rubbish. So to know that he's there, like he's like a rock. You know what I mean? And we've been through parallel journeys. We've been through parallel journeys. You know, he's had his problems, I've had mine, and it's having someone that understands and can relate. I mean, it's like multi-layered.
So even if he's giving tough love, you'd listen.
I don't know about that, dear.
He does listen. He does.
I hear everything he says. It might take a couple of years to filter in, but...
I think that's the thing, is when you get older, you become more able to kind of watch yourself. So things that you would have done at 17 and not really been aware of your behaviour, when you get to 55, it's like, I can't get away with that. So you will actually go to someone and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have behaved like that, I'm really sorry. It doesn't always work.
Even I do that.
Yeah, it doesn't always work, but sometimes people aren't forgiving, are they? Like, well, thanks.
No, exactly.
But how wonderful it is. We're all kind of like the same age. I mean, how amazing is it to all be this age and be how we are?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like... You know,
well, listen, we'll continue the chat because I've got to go to the break now, but it's been so lovely seeing all of you. Marilyn, Boy George and Goldie Hawn, everybody.
Yeah, we've got to go, I'm afraid, tomorrow.
tomorrow, dancing duo James and Ola Jordan will be here to talk baby rumours, ballroom, and who really wears the trousers in their house. It will be a good one. Don't miss it. Have a great afternoon. Thanks for watching. Bye.